The courtroom lights burned bright that morning, harsher than usual, and maybe that was fitting. Because Arrogance was about to walk through those doors, dressed in a designer suit and a smirk that could cut glass. The bailiff's voice echoed across the room. "All rise, court is now in session," the Honorable Judge Judith Shainlin presiding. The audience stood. The air was thick, tense, as Judge Judy entered, every step crisp, confident, and deliberate. Her gaze swept across the courtroom, instantly locking on the man already seated at the defendant's table. His name was Bradley Stone, a 32-year-old corporate consultant who believed charm could buy justice, that money could buy mercy, and that rules were for people less clever than him. He smiled at her, not the respectful kind, the smug kind. Judy clocked it instantly. She didn't say a word, not yet. The plaintiff, Maria Davis, a soft-spoken woman in her late 20s, stood trembling slightly beside her attorney. Her hands clutched a file folder like a lifeline. She was here to sue Bradley for fraud, unpaid wages, and emotional distress, after he allegedly fired her and refused to pay her for months of overtime work. But that wasn't even the whole story. Bradley hadn't just fired her, he'd humiliated her, publicly, on social media. And when she tried to stand up for herself, he mocked her, posting screenshots, captions, and laughing emojis. Judge Judy had read every word of that case file the night before, and she didn't like what she saw. Still, she sat down, her robe settling perfectly as she adjusted her glasses. "Be seated," she said, her tone clipped and cool. The room obeyed. Then she turned to the smug man across the room. "Mr. Stone," she said, "you seem quite comfortable here today." Bradley chuckled softly. "Of course, Your Honor, I've been in court before. Business disputes, comes with success." Judy's brow lifted. "Success," she repeated. "You call being sued twice in 1 year for labor violations success?" The courtroom chuckled quietly, nervously. Bradley's smile faltered for a second, then returned, more forced this time. "Those cases were misunderstandings," he said smoothly. "You know how employees can exaggerate." Judy leaned forward slightly. "I don't know that, why don't you enlighten me?" The tension in the air shifted. It wasn't just a case anymore, it was a duel, arrogance versus authority. Maria spoke softly when prompted. "Your Honor," she began, "I worked for Mr. Stone's company for almost 2 years. He promised bonuses, raises, and flexibility. But when I asked about the overtime pay I was owed, he called me ungrateful and said I should feel lucky just to have a job." Judge Judy's eyes flicked to Bradley. "Did you say that?" Bradley shrugged. "Probably. I manage over 50 employees, Your Honor. Sometimes you have to be direct. People these days are too sensitive." That was it, the first crack. Judy's jaw tightened. She wasn't going to explode, not yet. She was going to let him dig his own grave. "Too sensitive," she echoed. "You mean they expect to be paid for their work?" Bradley grinned. "I mean they should focus on results, not hours." The audience murmured. Judy silenced them with a glance. She turned to Maria. "Did you achieve the results he wanted?" Maria nodded. "Yes, ma'am, I have the reports, the client emails, and even his messages thanking me, but once he got the contract signed, he cut me off completely. No payment, just gone." Judy gestured to the bailiff. "Bring those documents here." The bailiff handed them over. Judy flipped through the pages with lightning precision, reading, scanning, absorbing every word. When she looked up again, her eyes were razor sharp. "Mr. Stone, explain this message." She read aloud from one of the printed texts. "You can cry all you want, sweetheart, but crying does cash checks." The courtroom fell silent. Bradley's jaw tightened. "That's taken out of context." "Oh," Judy said, voice deadly calm, "please, give us the context in which that's appropriate." He hesitated. For the first time the smirk wavered. "But arrogance dies slowly." "Your Honor, this is a business world, tough talk happens. If she can't handle a little pressure, she's not ready for real responsibility." That was it, the click. That invisible moment when Judge Judy's patience turned to steel. She leaned forward. "Mr. Stone, you seem to believe that respect and professionalism are optional. They're not. They're the foundation of law, business, and basic human decency. And right now, you're failing all three." Bradley rolled his eyes. "With all due respect." Judy cut him off instantly. Don't say with all due respect when you clearly don't mean it, it's a waste of oxygen. The room gasped and a ripple of laughter followed, quickly silenced by Judy's glare. She continued. I've dealt with men like you my entire career, men who think confidence and arrogance are the same thing. They're not. Confidence is earned, arrogance is borrowed, and it's due back the moment you meet someone who won't tolerate it. Bradley tried to interrupt, but Judy raised her hand. Not another word, you'll get your turn. She turned to Maria. You said he refused to pay your final 3 months' wages, correct? Correct, Maria said. And you have time cards and correspondence confirming your hours. Yes, Your Honor. Judy turned to the defendant again. Mr. Stone, did you authorize this overtime? Bradley grinned again, too proud to realize he was walking into a trap. Of course not, she took it upon herself, that's not my fault. Judy smiled slowly. Bailiff, could you please read Exhibit 12 aloud? The bailiff cleared his throat. Exhibit 12, email from Bradley Stone to Maria Davis, quote, make sure this presentation is done by Monday morning even if you have to pull an all-nighter. The silence that followed was deafening. Bradley's smirk disappeared completely. Judy folded her hands. So you didn't authorize overtime, but you ordered it. Bradley fumbled, that's just a figure of speech. No, it's a directive, and now it's evidence. The gallery whispered in shock. Maria looked down, tears welling in her eyes not from sadness but relief. Judge Judy noticed. She softened her tone slightly. You did nothing wrong, Miss Davis. Standing up for yourself is never wrong, don't let people like him make you think otherwise. Then she turned back to Bradley, the softness vanished. Mr. Stone, I'm going to give you a piece of advice you won't appreciate but you need to hear. The law doesn't bend for your ego, and neither do I. Bradley laughed weakly, you're really taking this personally, huh? Wrong move. Judy leaned back, eyes narrowing. You think this is personal? You humiliated an employee, refused to pay her, and came into my courtroom bragging about it. No, Mr. Stone, this isn't personal, it's principle, and you're about to learn what that means. The audience could feel the storm building, that famous Judge Judy explosion brewing under the surface. But she didn't strike yet. Not yet. Instead, she said calmly, we'll take a 10-minute recess. She stood, robe flowing like a black flag, and exited the room. Bradley exhaled in relief, thinking she was cooling off. But outside those doors, Judy wasn't cooling off, she was preparing. Because she had one final card to play, something Bradley had no idea was about to hit him. The courtroom lights burned brighter than usual that morning, harsh and unforgiving. The kind of light that revealed everything: truth, lies, and arrogance. The bailiff's voice echoed across the room. All rise, court is now in session, the Honorable Judge Judith Shaindlin presiding. Everyone stood. The doors opened and in walked Judge Judy, small in stature yet commanding like a storm in human form. Her eyes scanned the room and landed immediately on the man sitting at the defendant's table. Bradley Stone, 32, expensive suit, perfect hair, smug smile, the kind of man who thought the world existed to applaud him. He didn't stand up fast enough, Judy noticed, she always did. Be seated, she said, the audience obeyed instantly. Bradley leaned back casually, crossing one leg over the other as if the courtroom was his boardroom. Opposite him sat Maria Davis, a quiet woman with a file folder clutched against her chest like armor. She didn't look at him. She didn't have to, she already knew what he was. Maria was suing him for unpaid wages, 3 months of overtime he refused to pay, plus emotional distress. But underneath the paperwork was something deeper: humiliation. Because Bradley hadn't just refused to pay her, he'd mocked her. Online, in public, he'd written posts calling her a crying snowflake who can't handle pressure. Judy had read the entire file before the hearing. She wasn't just ready, she was loaded. Mr. Stone, she said, her tone deceptively calm, you seem very comfortable here today. Bradley smirked, I've been here before, Your Honor. Business world, lawsuits happen when you're successful. Successful? Judy's brow arched. You've been sued twice this year for labor violations, that's your definition of success. A few people in the gallery chuckled. Bradley smiled tighter. Those cases were misunderstandings, he said smoothly. Employees tend to exaggerate. I don't know that, Judy said sharply. Perhaps you can enlighten me. Maria took a breath and began. Your Honor, I worked for him for 2 years. He promised bonuses, but he never paid them. When I brought up the unpaid overtime, he said I should feel lucky just to have a job. Judy turned to Bradley. Did you say that? He shrugged. Probably. Some people just don't understand how business works. So business means disrespect now. He smiled. I mean, some people are too sensitive. The courtroom went still. Judy tilted her head. Too sensitive, she repeated softly. You mean people who expect to be paid for their work. Bradley grinned wider, mistaking danger for control. I mean, they should focus on results, not hours. Did she deliver results? Judy asked. Maria nodded. Yes, ma'am, I have emails from him thanking me, but once he got the deal signed, he ghosted me. No pay, no response. Judy gestured to the bailiff. Bring the evidence. She flipped through the documents, eyes darting over the pages like blades. Then she read aloud. You can cry all you want, sweetheart, but crying does cash checks. You sent this? Bradley shifted. That's out of context. Oh, Judy's tone went flat. Give me the context in which that's appropriate. He opened his mouth, then closed it. It's just tough talk. Some people can't handle pressure. Judy's expression hardened. Confidence is earned, arrogance is borrowed, and you're about to lose your loan. The crowd tensed. She turned back to Maria. You have her hours logged. Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Stone, did you authorize that overtime? He chuckled. Of course not, she took it upon herself. Bailiff, Judy said, read Exhibit 12. The bailiff read, email from Bradley Stone to Maria Davis. Make sure this presentation is done by Monday morning, even if you have to pull an all-nighter. The courtroom gasped. So you didn't authorize it, Judy said, but you ordered it. Bradley stammered, that's just an expression. No, Judy said, that's a directive, and now it's evidence. Maria lowered her head, tears in her eyes. Judy noticed, her voice softened. You did nothing wrong, standing up for yourself is never wrong. Then her gaze snapped back to Bradley. The law doesn't bend for your ego, Mr. Stone, and neither do I. Bradley leaned back, forcing a laugh. You're really taking this personally, huh? That was the wrong sentence. Judy leaned forward. You think this is personal? You humiliated an employee and came in here bragging about it. No, Mr. Stone, this isn't personal, it's principle. She stared him down. 10-minute recess. She stood and left the bench, her robe fluttering behind her. Bradley smirked to himself, thinking he'd survived the storm. But outside that door, Judge Judy wasn't cooling off, she was preparing for impact. When court resumed, the air was electric. Judy entered, silent but seething with control. Mr. Stone, she said, during recess I reviewed additional evidence and made some calls. Calls? Bradley frowned. Yes, to your former employees, I like to be thorough. Bradley blinked. You what? According to Heather Cole, your former assistant, you have a habit of withholding pay. Another employee, James Hollies, said you bragged that no small claims judge will ever make me pay. Care to deny that? Bradley laughed nervously. That's gossip, Your Honor. I take patterns seriously, Judy said. She handed a sheet to the bailiff. Display this. On the screen appeared an email, Bradley's own words. If Maria tries to sue, I'll make her look like an emotional wreck on TV. Nobody will believe her. Maria gasped. The room went dead silent. Bradley's voice cracked. That's private. The consultant you sent it to forwarded it to Maria's lawyer, Judy said coldly. After quitting for the same reason, unethical behavior. Bradley's lips trembled. You wanted to humiliate her on television, Judy said. You just volunteered yourself instead. She rose to her feet, her presence filling the room. The arrogance you brought here today ends now. You think charm replaces accountability. It doesn't. Justice doesn't care how expensive your suit is. Bradley tried to speak. You're twisting my words. No, Judy said. You did that yourself. She turned to Maria. You've been patient, you've shown grace, and grace, Miss Davis, is something money can't buy. Then she looked straight into the camera. For everyone watching, arrogance wins attention, not respect, and today it's losing both. Judgment for the plaintiff, she said, slamming the gavel. $18,000 in unpaid wages, $5,000 for emotional distress, payable immediately. Applause broke out. Bradley's face turned scarlet. You can't. Sit down, Judy barked. You're done. You came here thinking you'd outsmart everyone, she said, but all you did was expose yourself as a bully, and bullies never win in my courtroom. She turned to the bailiff. Remove Mr. Stone. He rose angrily. You can't throw me out. Watch me, she said. As he was escorted to the door, Judy called out, Mr. Stone. He stopped. Yes. You wanted to make someone look small on camera, she said, voice like ice. Congratulations, you succeeded, just not the person you intended. The audience erupted. Laughter, applause, gasps. The cameras zoomed in on his stunned face before he stormed out, broken and humiliated. Maria sat trembling, a smile breaking through her tears. Judy looked at her. You did good, she said quietly. You stood up, never forget that. Maria whispered, thank you. Judy nodded. Justice served. Later that night the episode aired. The clip where Judy delivered her final line went viral. Comments flooded in. That's not just justice, that's revenge. She destroyed him with facts. Within days, Bradley's company lost clients. Former employees spoke out. His empire of arrogance collapsed in real time. Maria meanwhile found peace, a new job, a clean slate. And in living rooms across America, Judge Judy's voice echoed one final truth. Arrogance is loud, she said in closing narration, but justice doesn't need to shout, it waits, and when the moment comes, it speaks for itself. Fade out. Gavel sound. Justice served.